Hello, welcome back. Alright, first things first. I started this video earlier, and I did a little more shaping on the legs. I pushed them out a little further than they were before, because they look too short. And a little more shadow on the elbow and shoulder. I don't think that video is going to be usable. Neighbor's dogs barking like crazy, and I don't know if I'll be able to edit that out. So if it's not in here, I apologize. If it is in here, well, you can just ignore me saying this. I didn't really do anything very detailed though, so if it's not in here, you're not missing out on much. First thing I'm gonna do here is there's too much arch to her back there, so I'm gonna straighten that out some. I got my naphthol crimson, and I'll take a little touch of black. That was too much. Let's get a little more naphthol crimson in there. Try about right there. Push it up into the hair there a little bit too to even that out. Do need that a little darker. Take a little bit of that black red in there. Just put another little line of shade in there. Like I said, look like her back isn't so dang arched. One last little touch. The black added. Just again to even that out some. And I'm pulling it flat here. Just get a little dot here I need to touch up. Not even a dot so much as straightening that out some. Alright. Then I got some shade here that isn't very even, so we're just gonna go over that, even that out. There we go. Get some more black in here. Just want to bring your hair down a little bit here. Get a little more black right on the bottom. It wasn't very even. Okay. Clean that brush off in some water. Get a little bit of that naphthol, some white. A little touch more white. There we go. Even that highlight out some where we squared off her knee. Shade red again down here. Like her leg should be just coming a little lower there off the chair. And some deep shade right there, kind of in the fold of her leg. Brush again. Gotta even this red out some here. There's some texture in there I will need to be getting. Try to find a way to get rid of. Might just take my palette knife and Take some of that paint off. Or I might leave it. Just leave the texture. A little extra dramatic effect there. Some more of this for this leg here. It's still a little darker than I want it, so put in another layer. Leave some of that shade at the bottom though. And all that highlight at the top. Gonna make a very, very lightly shaded red there. That's not even really shaded at all. We'll add a little more black to it. I might even need a little more than that. Not getting much contrast there. There we go. There's a little more contrast. Clean the brush, kind of smooth that edge out. I also want a little more curve in this part of the chair. Let's get a little touch of water in there to thin that paint back up. Paint with acrylic, which tends to dry really quick when you pull it flat. Give some of that chair color up there. All right. Even off the shadow there in the back. Okay. I need some more shade here. Not dark enough again. Went into the black a little bit where I didn't want there, so we'll just get some black on this same brush, cover that, and I see a little area here that needs just a touch of touching up. Same as up here. Okay, all right, let's add some shade in on these fingers here now. Clean that brush. Get a smaller one. Some really deep red. I'm going to reshape these fingers, bring them down a little bit further onto her leg. We'll add the highlight in to match there. Clean that. A little more white. Didn't get enough of that black out, did I? All right, well. There, that's better. a little too much, making those fingers look a little chunky. So I'll just get some more red on there when I'm done with the highlight. And by thinning the highlights, make those fingers look a little smaller. Also add a little more shade here, and then between the thumb. I'll get that slightly thicker brush again. Get some red on there. Just reshaping, trying to reshape. Bring that top of their thigh down a little lower. That ain't working too well. Alright, yeah, let's scrape that texture out though. And go over it with some paint. Doing the same little bit right there. Okay. It's easier to fix these issues when your paint is still wet, and I didn't do it, I didn't see it. This paint was still wet. A little more color in here again. Let's get you in the water. I'm gonna take this smaller brush. And what did I see here that I needed to do? Oh yeah, I was thinning that hand up some, wasn't I? Get a little bit of this brighter pink. Just a little, put a little light on that leg to create some separation between her hand and the leg. A little bit there over the edge of these shadows. Soften them up a little bit. I really don't want those harsh shadows there. In fact, let's soften them up even more. Get a little in there. There we go. Of this, mixing that really light pink, only kind of light pink, and just barely add in into the word that would get me censored if I said on YouTube. Oh, this is going on Patreon, so we're just gonna put in little tiniest hint of the nipple. I don't want this painting to look super salacious. maybe mildly titillating, but nothing over the top. Oh, that's the wrong brush. Forgot that was my dead one. Here's my good one. Get the water out of there and get some more of that paint. Okay. Go in on her face a little bit. First thing I want to do, color in her lips up there on her face. Sure, I'm not getting my hand in any wet paint there. That was nice and dark to match the lighting. Get a little. Make sure you get the smallest liner brush I have. Kind of roll it to a fine point in the black. Some shade, bottom of the lip, mouth line there. Okay. I'm gonna paint in her eyes. Oh, I got too much paint on that feather brush. Let's get some water in there. So thin that acrylic out some. Some lashes on those eyes. We have these eyebrows a little bit thicker. Okay. Get that back into that dark red mix we got. Fill in her iris. Back into the black. Now I need a little highlight. Got a little bit here above the eye, a little glint in the iris, and just warm part of that cornea up. And repeat the process on her other eye there. Put that line in first, that's fine. Then into that dark red. Black in there for the pupil. Little glint again. A little highlight on the cornea. I want to get a little more highlight on the bridge of her nose there. need some shadow. A little more shadow around the eyes. A little bit right there. Get some in here, down here. Bring that eyebrow out a little further as well. We get some of that really dark red. And there's a few little areas on her forehead where there's just need a little more white in there. Just a little light dancing. I mean a little, just a touch. Now I can already see I need to thin that highlight on her nose some. There we go. I've noticed she doesn't have any nostrils yet, so we'll add some of that in. Again, I just turn that brush in the paint to get that nice just point. And then we got little tiny hit of a highlight right there. That was a little too soft, so I'll get that in more. Face right there. Shadow on her jawline. A little stronger shadow here. Uh-oh. Brush a little bit of texture out. Get this shadow here a little stronger. Clean that brush. Go back into that highlight. There as well. Tie that all together. Now I see where I need some more hair. Get some black. Get just a touch of that red mixed in. Just reshape that hair a little bit. Let's thin out this highlight over here as well. Go ahead and get a little more detail on those fingers now. First, I'm gonna clean up that edge a little bit. It's a little too much. A little more red. A little line for fingernails. A little bit of shade around the knuckles there. And we'll put a very minor little highlight on the thumb, just not as much as on the rest of her fingers there. Get this wider brush again, get all the paint cleaned out of it. Clean up those areas where I had to push her legs out a little further up some. That might have been too much paint. Kind of pull it back into her leg there. There to even it up. Okay. I'll twist that to get it to that fine point. Going on the chair legs. Shadow on this one. Need a little water in there again. It's starting to dry out pretty good. Put a little inspiration there. Bit of grayish red here on some of these. Just to straighten the lines up some. Yeah, of course, these aren't the full point of the painting, so if those lines aren't perfect, I don't think it'll matter too much. The opposite area I needed to go with that whitish red. should say, slightly tinged red-white. Get a little more red in there. There, right over in here. I just want to need a little bit of that dark red, so I have this brush pulled to a chisel. We're just going to put a little line there. Let's get a little more on there. Shade on some of those parts of that chair, okay. Going back into this black and red. Forehead's poking up a little too high, so we're just gonna bring it into a little more of an arch. Face up there a little bit as well. You know, connect the eyebrow to the hair there, I feel like. I'm gonna go in with just some black. And just get some black in there. Okay. You in the water. I'm gonna fan brush here. I'm just trying this. I think this one will do. Like a little red into that black. That might have been too much. It's because I feel like the that wasn't enough. I need more now. More red. I feel like the red and black by themselves are a little too just a little too plain. So in the black, I'm just gonna fan brush, put in a little dark red, just so there's a little more visually interesting going on. Don't want it necessarily to look like leaves. So we're also gonna smooth it out some. Go in different directions just to give it a little texture in there. We can even here might be a little too bright, so I'll just brush a little black in. Clean that brush. I'm just gonna get some red, a little black over here. I do the same thing, just a little more contrast in that red. Just being careful not to paint over our figure. Probably should have done this from the start, but until the composition is done, it's really hard to tell how it's going to look. Kind of spread in there. All right. You can even a few little spots in here, just a little more of that red hint. Down there. Then get a little bit of that dark red. Just put that texture in over here. Maybe it's good that I waited to put that on because I feel like it's almost leaving a halo effect around my figure here. Let's get a little of that color and in that dividing line. All right. Well, I think that's gonna just about do it for this piece here. But I am just gonna that's still not dark enough. Still not dark enough, so we're gonna smooth that and just put a little more shadow in here. Oh yeah, just a hint of that nipple. Alright, now I do believe I'm gonna be done with this piece. And I think just based on her facial expression, a good title for this would be Judgment in Red. So that's what I'm gonna call it. I really hope you enjoyed watching me paint. I hope if you were watching to learn something that you did. And if you were just watching to relax, I hope I did the trick. Be back here soon with another Patreon exclusive. You have a great day today and an even better one tomorrow. Good night.